In a world increasingly strained by conflict between humans, curses, and various other races, Chapter 12 of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo opens a much darker chapter. Following a series of mysterious incidents in Tokyo, reports emerge claiming that several Karyans, beings from Sumeria, were allegedly killed by humans without any clear motive. These accusations spark massive misunderstandings, especially now that Tokyo has gained a grim reputation as the Inhuman Kingdom, a region where thousands of curses have gathered after a large-scale operation known as the Purification. Tension grows more unstable by the minute, and a single misstep is all it would take to reignite a devastating conflict between two races that were supposed to cooperate. Amid the chaos, both sorcerers and Sumerians begin to realize that curses and Karyans share far more similarities than anyone initially thought. Some curses even respond to Sumerians as if they were natural allies. A situation that could have been resolved peacefully instead spirals into disaster when a radical sorcerer shoots a key Sumerian figure. Outrage erupts, diplomacy collapses, and a new threat emerges. Dabura, a special-grade entity who ends the chapter with a massive cliffhanger. With tensions already pushed past the breaking point, war now feels inevitable, just a breath away. Oh yeah, so we can keep interacting and making the anime storytelling world even more fun together. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments to keep the vibe going. Alright guys, let's jump straight into the discussion. Let's go. Chapter 12 of the Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo manga is incredibly exciting because everything is pointing toward one thing. A massive war is about to begin. This chapter is titled The Inhuman Kingdom, referring to what seems to be a new territory ruled by curses. As usual, the chapter opens with the line, "Just when the path toward coexistence finally began to appear." The story continues right after the Takayaki gathering and the events of the previous chapter, where the elders of the Sumerian race announced that the Japanese were suspected of killing the Karyan. The chapter opens with Usami asking, "Did we really kill the Karyan?" Yoroma replies, "Yes, many of them said so with absolute certainty." Usami denies it, insisting something must be wrong because there's no proof that the Karyan even exist on Earth. But Yoroma explains that the tears from the Sumerians' third eye prove that they witnessed the death of one of the Karyan, and it happened in Tokyo. Hearing this, Mino is shocked, and Usami begins to understand the situation. The story then shifts to the joint mission of Yuka, Tsurugi, and Maru. Tsurugi explains that cursed spirits only appear in Tokyo. Maru is confused until Yuka clarifies. After the game of sacrifice, the government publicly claimed that curses only existed in Tokyo, even though this was a lie. Tsurugi adds that they made the lie feel real by channeling cursed energy into Tokyo, a place rarely visited by ordinary people. Yuka explains that the appearance of curses outside Tokyo isn't zero, just extremely small. We then see Yuka placing a talisman on a strange object inside a small house. The place resembles the old storage site of Sukuna's fingers. Although it's not directly stated, it's clear their actions are connected to something involving Sukuna's finger relics. Yuka also says that even in Kyoto, maintaining the protective barrier is crucial. Tsurugi adds that the Great Purification is currently underway. Maru, confused, asks what that is. Yuka explains that it's a routine cleansing meant to prevent curses from spilling out of Tokyo. During moments like these, barriers tend to destabilize. Tsurugi notes that students normally aren't called to help with the purification. Maru asks whether curses are really that strong, and Yuka says their power varies greatly, and they're far more unpredictable than sorcerers. Next, we're shown Tokyo, now uninhabited, the Inhuman Kingdom, a territory filled with curses of all forms, including flying ones. It's an incredibly dangerous zone, but thanks to the barrier created by sorcerers, the curses remain confined, and their numbers slowly decrease due to the Great Purification. Even so, the area still feels extremely threatening. We then cut to two sorcerers conducting a cleansing operation. One of them eliminates a curse and proudly says, "Nice, 10 points for me." His partner protests, saying it's only worth 5 points because it's the same size as the one he defeated earlier. This sorcerer is one of those who has been against aliens from the beginning. They argue briefly about curse sizes before moving on to the next building. His partner teases, "Don't tell me you're scared." He snaps back, "Idiot. Indoor purification requires at least 2 people. It's the rule." When they enter the building, they spot a group of bat-like curses and then notice something being dragged above them. Black hands stretch toward a door, clearly signaling something is wrong. They slowly open the door and find a horrifying sight. A voice says, "Good boy. Where did you come from? You've been through a lot, haven't you?" Inside is a Sumerian standing alongside a curse, an utterly shocking scene. The sorcerers gasp. A Sumerian? The story then returns to Mino and Usami as they finally understand what's happening. Mino says, "So, the Carrion are actually cursed spirits?" Usami replies, "No. It seems the Carrion possess physical bodies. They are life forms almost indistinguishable from cursed spirits." Meanwhile, cursed spirits are spiritual entities that closely resemble the Carrion. Someone then gives an urgent command. "Inform everyone immediately. Stop the Great Purification Ritual. We're heading to Tokyo." At the same time, Yavaroma steps forward and says, "We'll come with you." Kurosu adds, "We should stop by Nonax first. If we jump from there, we'll arrive faster." The scene shifts back to Tsurugi. He explains that relabeling an object is easy. What truly matters is the cursed object used as an anchor for protection. Over time, the nature of a cursed object can change. An amulet originally meant to repel negative energy can eventually become something that attracts it. Maru nods, realizing that understanding these transformations is also part of Sorcerer's job. Seeing Maru's eager reaction, Tsurugi and Yuka think he's enjoying the explanation too much. Maru quickly clarifies, "Sorry, I'm not joking. Protecting someone isn't about status or purpose. It's just a job, part of everyday life." Tsurugi finds that perspective admirable. Tsurugi then asks, "So, does that mean fun things aren't considered work?" Maru replies, "No. In the Carrion village, we are assigned roles as warriors from birth." Yuka asks, "So you can tell who will become a sorcerer from infancy?" Maru nods and explains, "Not all Carrion can do it. But this particular Carrion has been revered by the Rumal people for 2,000 years. He's incredibly special." Tsurugi is stunned. 2,000 years is an extraordinary lifespan. Yuka adds, "Of course, because he cannot die." Maru also mentions that this Carrion was the one who gave them their second names. Tsurugi is amazed, and both he and Yuka think the same thing. Maru's full name is way too long. We still can't remember it. This makes it clear that the Amurians and the world of Sumeria are still filled with mysteries. The ancient Carrion, thousands of years old, likely remains on the original planet. No one knows how powerful he truly is, which only deepens the intrigue. Back to the main story. Usami and his group finally arrive in Tokyo. They witness an explosion, a clear sign that the conflict has already begun. Usami quickly says, "We're late. Leave this to me." He immediately activates his cursed speech technique. On the other side of the battlefield, the sorcerer who had been fighting finally managed to bring the curse down. However, he was immediately attacked by the Amurians. The sorcerer then reported, "This is Yakamaru. The Amurians have interfered with the Great Purification. All units, regroup immediately." This is the moment we finally learn the name of the character who is clearly going to cause a lot of trouble, Yakamaru. Unfortunately for him, a large group of Amurians suddenly appears and spots the cursed spirit's third eye crime. Yakamaru defends himself, insisting, "You guys attacked first." Suddenly, a loud "wait" echoes across the battlefield, and Usami's cursed speech activates, halting the conflict. Yakamaru quickly realizes who is responsible. Usami begins speaking, "Calm down. The Great Purification has been cancelled." Confused, Yakamaru asks, "What do you mean?" Usami explains, We never properly explained what cursed spirits are. We deliberately hid information about Jujutsu. That negligence is what caused everything to spiral out of control. We must acknowledge our mistakes. Yakimaru presses him. And how does that connect to canceling the Great Purification? Usami answers, because cursed spirits and the Carians are essentially almost the same type of beings. The statement shocks Yakimaru. The scene then shifts to Ozuki and Kurosu. Kurosu tries to clarify. This creature is called a cursed spirit. It's not a Carian. Ozuki refuses to believe it. Don't joke with me. Look at its eyes. This is clearly a Carian. Kurosu responds, if it were really a Carian, the spiritual pressure you're feeling would be far heavier. Look at its body. At that moment, the Amurians noticed the creature they believed was a Carian beginning to fade away. Ozuki is stunned as Kurosu continues. Cursed spirits are manifestations of Japan's collective subconscious. They're not Carians. Even so, everyone heard the voices earlier, and that only fueled confusion. Kurosu tries to calm Ozuki down, telling him to stay composed. Slowly, the tension begins to settle. Eventually, the leaders of both groups, Usami and Yabaroma, begin to talk. Yabaroma admits their mistake, acknowledging that they entered Tokyo without permission and that they take full responsibility. Usami apologizes as well. He explains that the root of the problem lies in their overly cautious attitude towards Samuria and their lack of transparency, so a sincere apology is necessary. Hearing this, Yuzuki wonders why they feel the need to apologize so much. Meanwhile, Yakimaru questions whether they're genuinely trying to take all the blame just to appear humble in front of the refugees. Yakimaru's wounds still throb as Yabaroma suggests ending the conversation for now. Usami agrees and promises to get back to them. Right after that, Kurosu starts pulling something out from inside his coat, hinting that something terrible might happen. Yet the story shifts back to Yuka, Maru, and Tsurugi. Elsewhere, Yuka explains that they're almost done with their final task. Maru complains about all the climbing, asking if there isn't an easier route. Yuka replies that there's no way around it, because the points they're repairing are the core of the barrier system. Tsurugi adds that these points usually appear in extreme places, very high, very low, or within specific spiritual zones. Maru admits it sounds complicated, and Yuka says sorcerers are always short on manpower. Tsurugi mentions that things would be much easier if the Remilianos helped out. Maru immediately lights up at the idea. He believes the Remiliano soldiers would be happy to contribute to the world. He even plans to tell everyone when they get back. Tsurugi smiles and agrees, while Yuka ends the conversation by saying they'll regroup tomorrow. Tragically, they have no idea what's about to happen next. The story cuts back to Tokyo, and 2 gunshots ring out. Both bullets hit Kurosu, one of them straight through his heart. The atmosphere instantly shifts into pure chaos. Yuzuki screams Kurosu's name in panic. An enraged Usami demands to know why Yakimaru fired. Yakimaru insists that Kurosu was pulling out a weapon first, so he shot in self-defense. Tension erupts immediately. Ozuki shouts in fury that he's going to kill everyone. Yabaroma tries to stop him, but the Remilianos are already too riled up. Some of them even tell Ozuki to go ahead and not hold back. Yakimaru's ally, the one carrying a katana, warns everyone to prepare to defend themselves. Mino desperately tries to stop the chaos, shouting that no one should act rashly. Usami readies his cursed speech to calm the crowd, but it's already too late. A voice suddenly cuts through the noise, and Dabura appears out of nowhere, introducing himself as a special grade sorcerer. The chapter ends right at this cliffhanger. The situation is utter madness. Kurosu has been shot, and his survival is completely uncertain. Considering Gija's style, there's a real chance he might die, though it would be a painfully meaningless death. But if Kurosu truly dies here, it could become the point of no return for this war, assuming the war hasn't already begun. It seems the only way to calm the situation, even if just temporarily, is for someone to heal Kurosu. Ideally, that person would come from the human side. especially someone who can use reverse cursed technique. There might be a descendant of Shoko capable of doing it, but honestly, things are already looking extremely difficult. We also know that Dabura has always been against unnecessary violence, but he has a very clear mission, protecting the Romelian people. And now that Kurosu has fallen, there's no doubt Dabura will act. It wouldn't be surprising if, in the next chapter, he eliminates the person who shot Kurosu. From the author's point of view, that would be the most logical move. But from there, the situation could become even more chaotic. As mentioned in previous leaks, this moment feels like the perfect setup for Yuji Itadori's appearance. If Yuji doesn't show up now, things will spiral even further, especially since both sides are already prepared for all-out battle. The Amurians are extremely confident thanks to having Dabura on their side. It would be amazing if Yuji showed up to support the humans, especially if he's the one who heals Kurosu. That would be an epic moment, an entrance that highlights his new power while also defusing the situation. Still, once the conflict becomes open, the Amurians will feel even more threatened if they discover someone exists who equals or surpasses Dabura. This scenario becomes even more intriguing because Yuji's chances of being nearby are quite high. Since he's rumored to be hiding, the most logical place would be Tokyo, the long-established hotspot of cursed activity. It's possible he's been there to keep the curses under control. Even though the sorcerers are trying to contain them, their efforts may not be enough. Yuji might have taken it upon himself to deal with the strongest curses directly. And if it turns out he truly becomes the new king of curses, as previously hinted, that would be a massive development. Another interesting reveal from this chapter is how similar the Carians and curses seem to be. This has been a theory for a while, but getting confirmation makes it even more intriguing. The connection between curses and the Amurians is also unclear. For example, the Amurian's third eye sheds tears whenever a curse dies. We also saw Ozuki interacting peacefully with a curse without being attacked. Do curses only target humans and share some deeper link with the Amurians? It's uncertain, but it's a connection Mahito could easily exploit. If the Amurians begin viewing Mahito as a divine figure, or someone worthy of worship, things could spiral out of control extremely fast. Not to mention the possibility that some of them may grow to hate or fear humans. And that negative emotion is exactly what fuels Mahito's power. With all these developments, it's clear that a major conflict is about to erupt in the upcoming chapters. Now we just wait to see which direction the story moves, but so far, the plot is getting more and more exciting. Thank you so much for sticking with the story till the end. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the comments section below. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one.